Hello, everybody. It's Dr. Rick dropping in on you. Hope everybody is having a great start to your day. I mean, it's midweek. Hopefully, your week has gotten off to a fantastic start, but there are those times when things don't go the way you want them to go. You look up and you make an assessment and you realize you're not where you want to be. As I always say, if you're still breathing, you're still in the fight. You've got to have that mentality because it will not always look the way you think it should. You will not always be standing in the space you believe you belong in. And you've got to believe enough in who you are, what you are, where you're going, your purpose, your mission, your destiny to sit up and say, I'm not there, but I'm on my way. And if I'm still breathing, I'm still in the fight. So I want you to take that mentality no matter what's going on. And I'm going to be real brief here. You know the routine. Always look in the description box for resources. Always look in the description box for inspiration. This is going to be a uh, real quick video. I just want to encourage you, but I also want to admonish you. Anytime you are dealing with anxiety, anytime you're dealing with stress, anytime you are dealing with fear, anytime you're dealing with the disturbances of your peace that come from something that you're experiencing or something someone else is doing, keep in mind that this disturbance is happening with your permission. And people will say, I don't get to determine what I go through, but you get to determine how you process it, how you deal with it, what amount of gravity you're going to give to it. It doesn't mean you're in denial because you won't give it space. It means that that's not your focus. People have asked me over the course of my life and things that I've been through. See, I don't have this perfect life that has always panned out like people like to present on social media. No, I've had some exceptional and extraordinary things that I've experienced in my life, things that most people want, but I've also had some dark moments. I've also had some times and some difficulties that drained me, that strained me, that took me to the brink. And people would sit up and ask me in these times, why are you smiling? Why is it that you're at this space that we know you're at? And yet you are smiling, and yet you are helping other people, and yet you are on the move. You and they would sit up and say, what is it? You're in denial. And I say, no, I'm not in denial. What you don't understand is you're so focused on my circumstances that you can't see beyond it. I don't think that way. My circumstances are just that, temporal by nature, temporal by definition. They have no power on what the outcome would be. They can only impress upon my life what they have the power to do, and I assign the power to my circumstances. And let me tell you, my spirit is in constant communication with my creator. My spirit is in constant communication with the source of all that I desire and all that I need. And so when my spirit is in communication with the spirit of God, there's something constantly in my spirit that disagrees with negative circumstances. So you're asking me how I get past something. It's because my spirit disagrees with it. I don't, and it's not an ignoring or a dismissal or a denial. It's simply saying it isn't bigger than my purpose. It isn't bigger than my destiny. It isn't bigger than my faith. It isn't bigger than my intentions. It's not bigger than I am. It's just a moment right now. But when you give people or situations that type of space where they're occupying your thoughts and influencing how you feel, you literally have opened the gates for people to determine how healthy you are, how happy you are, how productive you are. Stop leasing out time in your mind. Stop leasing out your thoughts. Stop leasing out your expectations. Stop leasing out your intentions. Stop leasing out what you're going to anticipate, and start being very intentional in what you say, very intentional in your thoughts. Go back to what I always share with you. You know my favorite passage. It says that though we walk in the flesh, we do not war according to the flesh, for the weapons of our warfare, what? Mighty in God for what? Pulling down strongholds. Ain't nothing that's going to come in front of you that you can't stop. But it doesn't stop there. It says bringing every. It says casting down every thought, casting out every argument that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. So everything that you know about your life, everything that you have established that you want to become, everything that you know deep down inside that you have seen in vision and dream, in aspirations and in hopes, that's God's promise to you. That's God's evidence that it's possible. And what you are hanging on now is that these things don't line up with what you're seeing. What you're seeing, faith is a substance of what? Things hoped for, and what? The evidence of things not seen. It's when things can't be figured out, when things can't be rationalized, when things don't fall up under the spectrum of normal reason, and it requires something extra, that faith is even activated. It doesn't take faith to get up and go to work. You get up and you go. You know, if you go, you know, if you do your work and you don't get fired, you're going to get paid. That doesn't require faith. It doesn't require, if I can do 2 + 2, that doesn't require faith. It simply requires my reason and my execution. Faith says there's something in front of you that's bigger than you, and you say, no, it's not. I can do it, because if I can conceive it in my mind, that's God's promise. That's God's evidence that it's possible. So I'm going to go out here and I'm going to do it, despite the fact that at this moment that I'm declaring it's done, I don't even know how I'm going to do it, but I'm already declaring. And then what did Eliphaz tell Job? He says, you shall declare a thing and it shall be established for you, so that light will shine upon your path. Watch yourself talk. And definitely don't be repeating what those negative, minimal-minded people are speaking into your life. Rebuke it. Say, cast down arguments. The old folks used to say it like this: I rebuke that. And they would say it right in your face. You would sit up and say, well, this is probably going to happen. Girl, this is going to happen. Dog, this is going to happen. I rebuke it. What are they saying? I don't receive it, and I openly dismiss it and rebuke it and reject it. I'm not going to passively disagree with you. I'm going to intentionally state my objection to what you're speaking into my life, and then I'm going to speak in turn what I am holding to be true. Stop renting out your thoughts. Your thoughts are the seeds of your destiny. I told you about that in my book, I Am. I am are the 2 most powerful words in the English lexicon. Why? Because whatever follows them sets the course of your life. What are you speaking? What are you talking about? Your self-talk is literally the program that the supercomputer we call the brain will run. You're programming yourself with your thoughts, your words, your expectations. And the thing is, this thing doesn't have limits. It's being held in check by you. I dare you to step outside of those boundaries. I dare you to sit up and take off the shackles of old experiences. I dare you to stop seeking permission from your past to ignite your future. I dare you to start searching your vision, your imagination, outside the boundaries of the constructs of what you've been through, what you've seen, what you've been told. I'm telling you, there are no limitations. The fact that you could sit up and watch and listen to what I'm saying right now, live as I say it, is a testimony to what I'm trying to convince you. This used to be impossible. You can't do that. You can't sit up and be in one space and talk to somebody on the video live. You can't do that. That stuff just on the Jetsons. And here we are. When Alexander Graham Bell said, I'm going to create something where you can sit up and you can pick up a device, it's going to be connected to some wires, and those wires are going to run around the world. Anybody that has those wires in their vicinity can plug in and you can talk to them no matter where they're at. I said, Alexander, you're crazy. And then somebody said, man, forget the wires. We're going to go wireless. We're going to use a cellular signal. And somebody says, we can go further than the cellular signal. We can sit up and put a satellite into space and use the satellite and talk anywhere in the world at any time. Somebody said it was crazy. Then these 2 brothers were sitting up and going, you know what? I'm tired of riding around. I want to fly. And people said, you're out of your mind, Orville and Wilbur. You're out of your mind. And And they said, no, we're going to figure it out. And here are the law of aerodynamics coming into play. And now we get on planes without a second thought. But it was impossible. It was once impossible to run the mile in under 4 minutes. But Roger Bannister said, I'm going to train my mind in a way. In 1954, he ran the mile in under 4 minutes. And when they asked him, how did he train differently? How did he eat differently? What all things? He said, I simply ran it 1,000 times in my mind. The power of your mind to produce your reality has always been true. It's never been. You search ancient literature, it's telling you the same thing. God will never meet you beyond the level of your expectations. He told Moses to go back and tell the children of Israel, since as you have spoken in my hearing, so shall I do to you. What is he saying? You said you couldn't, so you can't. But if you'd have said you could, you would have. Socrates came along a couple of thousand years later and said that he who thinks he can and he who thinks he can't are usually both right. Henry Ford would later use that, but it originated from what I know from Socrates. Or was it Confucius? I'm maybe Confucius, but the thing is this. Maybe Confucius. But here's the thing. What you speak has power. The book of Proverbs says that there's power. The power of life and death is in the tongue. Paul told the church in Corinth, casting down arguments and every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of God. Casting down arguments. When someone speaks into your life, sometimes you're going to get a thought. Sometimes you're going to say something. You need to rebuke yourself sometimes. No, I dismiss that. I take that back. I apologize to myself. I apologize to my future self. I am not going to speak that way of my future self. We will win. We will overcome. We will line up with my destiny. We will do great things. We will leave a legacy. We will touch lives. We will heal. It's time for you to reclaim your personal sovereignty. It's time for you to stand up and say, you know what? I'm going to do what God designed me to do. I'm going to live my life at the level of my design. That's what I ask you to start saying to yourself. I'm going to live my life at the level of my design. The grand creator didn't create anything mediocre. The grand creator didn't create anything average. The grand creator didn't create you to have dwarfed goals and colorless dreams. The grand creator designed you to be a representation of the creator as a creation. And that means you were put here to do things beyond what was expected. The moment that you realize that, there's something on the inside of you that was planted there by the creator, you won't have to chase greatness. It will overtake you. That is my suggestion to you. That is my word of encouragement, my word of inspiration. It's time to step out. It's time to start doing something beyond, but it's also time for you to start governing and managing and protecting your mental space. That's my challenge to you. So on that note, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. Again, check out the description box wherever you're watching that for resources and inspiration. I really do hope that you guys have an unbelievably powerful and blessed day. As I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I challenge you to do the same thing. On that note, I'm out.